This is the CreaseCast.
So, Mr. Lachlan, here we are on a Friday. First time in a long time for me and you, because I have been actively trying to not be a part of the Friday shows because I just can't stand you at all. I mean,
know.
That's not it. That's definitely.
We after we did counseling for a bit, for a little bit. That helped us sort out some of our issues. You know, those I feel statements really do help. You know,
the counselor was very smart. She said, "You boys need some time apart. You need some me time." And so, my me time turned into dog time, which turned into all the time, which has
I feel like you
eroded my sense of sleep, my sense of awakeness, and has up jumped my exhaustion levels to the extremes. Yeah, but here we
and
are.
yet you still got the better deal than I did here.
This is true. Murphy's really cool. He's really fun.
Murphy's lovely.
You won't be able to see it on the camera, but my hands are like really bloody and like hacked up. He bit my ear the other day, but it was like it's my fault. I picked him up to give him like a big bear hug like this, and then like he was kissing my face, and then he saw my earlobe and was like, "Ooh!" He bit it. Yeah, he's like, "This is fun," and so yeah. But anyways, the dog isn't important. Me being here isn't important. I'm not going to be here for the whole time because wait, what's the saying? I'm not here for a long time. I'm here for a good
time. Yeah, good time, not a long time. Yeah.
So I'm here for the good time, not a long time, because we are here to introduce something, an announcement of sorts, which we haven't really had to do a lot during our 1.5 year long program so far. But we are proud to introduce our new co-host and producer of the show. You might recognize her from her Twitter handle, Redacted, and her other Twitter handle, Redacted. Why, it's Jamie, redacted last name. Welcome to the show.
Hi.
Oh my God.
That's a lot of redacted.
It's a lot of redacted. You're a very mysterious person. Like,
thank you.
At the end of the day, yeah.
Now that you're the producer, you can change out anytime I say redacted with a big long beep, so it sounds like I actually said like information that shouldn't be out there, and it'll make you even more mysterious.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can just record your own last name, like version of the last name, and change it every single episode to something else.
I'll start it off with Hoglander.
Oh, there you go.
Jamie Hoglander. Welcome to the show.
That is how this decision-making process came about, because we were obviously looking for a third person for this show for a long time, because obviously you and I, Lachlan, had other commitments and wanted to add a different dynamic to the show that would actually improve it, make it a bit more funny, because you and I are, I mean, we're all right, but like
we're okay.
It's just not there anymore.
6 out of 10.
Like a really long marriage, like the fire is just gone. The spark is out. And so we needed something new to kind of spice it up a bit. So we got Jamie on board. If you guys saw our tweet from earlier today, Friday, with the I mean, you had to listen to my voice talk about a Players Tribune article, which is just awful. Like, I'm sorry that had to be done to you guys on a Friday, but the actual video content is fucking gold. I hate laughing at myself. Like, I'm mad at you, Jamie, for making something so funny, because
but it came to me and it like when I was listening to it just like came to me immediately. I was like, I need to make this.
Was it all the pauses and the stuttering? Because it took me a while to really work through that story, if you couldn't tell.
Oh yeah, I had to cut some of it.
Yeah. It takes me a while on a Monday show after a long weekend. It's really tough for me to like really string together sentences. And that's why it's going to be great to have you on, because when I don't feel like formulating a sentence, I can defer to you or Lachlan, and I can mute my mic and go back to drinking my ice, crispy, redacted, ruby grapefruit flavor. It's happy hour somewhere, folks. And it's a happy day for the CreaseCast family. So make sure to give Jamie a follow on Twitter. We'll plug that at the end of the show. But before we go, we're just going to kind of talk a little bit. I'm going to set you guys up for the show ahead before I go and walk a dog who's going to piss everywhere and shit everywhere. So, folks, we had some interesting results for the Vancouver Canucks this past week. They've decided to be good again, just in time to tank their draft position, maybe give some hope for playoffs. Niels Hoglander isn't here. Quinn Hughes isn't here. everything sucks, but it's working out for them. Folks, how is this even possible?
God, I have no clue. Okay. The Arizona one, like, I mean, you kind of saw that one coming a mile away.
No.
Like, no.
No,
No, it's the
absolutely
Canucks.
not.
It's the
You're
Canucks.
right. You're right. It is the Canucks. It would have been much more in like it would have been made much more story sense for them to go and like absolutely get shelled. But
I
like
was expecting a Louis Eriksson hat trick, but you know.
God, is that God? That's so true. It was really funny how the tables got turned in that game, not just because like Travis Boyd ended up going like winless in the faceoff dot, but like you have Oliver Ekman-Larsson setting up Alex Chase on. I think Connor Garland had 3 assists or at least 2. Just like they set themselves up so well, and then you go and you look at like the draft board, like the tankathon board on tankathon.com, and you're like, oh, the Canucks have the second lowest odds of winning a draft lottery. That's cool, I guess. That's cool. They're not gonna make the playoffs probably, but they are gonna finish second out of there. So
yeah, that's a bit tragic, like because Tankathon was really fun, like maybe a week ago, when it was like, ooh, let's see where they're gonna land. So before we I guess get on with the Canucks talk, Jamie, we need to sort something out here.
Okay.
Are you team tank, or are you team go for it?
Well,
you can be both, by the way.
I think I'm both.
Okay.
Yeah, because like, on the one hand, I love it when they win. Who doesn't, right?
Mm-hmm,
but then like, you think about like their future and how we have like the smallest list of prospects.
Correct.
Ever, really.
Yeah.
Like they're all gone. we put them on waivers, or we just traded them for fun.
Mm-hmm.
Just because
for loans, for rentals.
Yeah.
Tyler Toffoli. And yeah, I think we should get a good draft pick. Yeah,
that is kind of the key thing here, because I believe Lachlan and I were always on the same page of, the team can suck, but as long as they like look like they're trying hard. And for much of last season and much of this season, didn't really seem like they were trying hard. They were certainly showing up, which is half the battle, as G.I. Joe always said. You kids are too young for G.I. Joe, aren't you?
A little. I
am.
Yeah, a little.
Oh my god.
I think a
okay,
little.
yeah.
I am.
Well,
So,
it was a Saturday morning cartoon. I know that much. I know. It was like,
okay,
I think it was just before.
You got that right. I feel like Lachlan only knows because he's a nerd who looks this stuff up and researches it.
I do go on the
Yeah,
Wikipedia rabbit
sure.
holes quite often,
I know you
especially when it comes to cartoons. Like,
That's okay.
Oh my god.
So for our listening audience who just needs a bit of a refresher, a get to know you type thing, if you will, Jamie is like a year removed from high school. She is literally a child.
Dude, I am a 3rd year in university.
Okay. I don't do
20.
math. I remember, hey, when I graduated grade 7, I was the toughest and the biggest kid in class, and I could drive them all to the candy store when I was 19, all right? So nothing wrong with that, but I'm just kidding. I didn't do that. I graduated at the proper age. I went to school. I got good grades. I got C+ for a lot of stuff, and then I went to a college, and I learned a lot of stuff there too. So, okay, nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying.
Congrats.
The age gap of this show, the age average has actually been brought down by Jamie, which is good because we need fresher looks. We need a fresher outlook on the team, because my decrepit ass is probably weighing down Lachlan very badly. So it makes sense to get someone young, enthusiastic, with a zest for life that I lost ages ago.
Oh my god, this got way darker than I was anticipating.
Dude, how do you know that I haven't lost it already?
That's true. God. You are a Canucks fan. So
yeah, we've all lost it at this point.
Like, I used to be a computer science student. Like, it's
And now look at you.
Now look at me.
It's awful. Look what we've done.
You saw
Changed
Jim
my
Benning.
Career path.
Yeah, you saw Jim Benning trade away Tyler Madden and a pick for Tyler Toffoli, and saw him leave, and you were like, computer science is just not for me anymore. There's no point.
Yeah.
No, I changed my major from computer science to interactive arts and technology.
Hell yeah.
To like pursue like filmmaking, basically.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Well, Cody was in a movie
that's-
at one point.
Oh, you were.
I was featured in a movie that was made when you were 5 years old. Actually, wait, hold on.
What year? What year is this?
Okay, this is 2007. So.
6.
Oh my god, that's ridiculous.
You're very close. Cody, don't worry. I was 10.
He's having a crisis over there.
Yeah, so a big running theme and running gag on this show is my existential crisis and how much more depleted and demoralized I can get while being a Canucks fan or through interacting with the youths of today.
Except you kind of are one of the youths, though. Like, I think most people consider you part of the same group as say myself and like Faber and Quads. I think they put you. They put you in the same category.
Okay, so I have a theory about this because I'm like my nieces and nephews are like 5 and 8, and then I have a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old niece, and they all love me. So I just have a feeling that like I like gravitate to the youths of America, of Canada.
You have a youthful spirit to you.
I have a youthful energy that is masked by liquor. And so I come across like a very fun man. And I am a very fun man to the youths. And that is my thing. But yes, I am very fun. If you need me to babysit, I won't. But if you want me to like run into your kids and like be like that fun guy for at least 15 minutes before I just leave with my dog, like that, I'll do that.
He's jokering out. He's jokering out right now. We better get
he's spiraling. That's what he's doing.
You want to know how I got these scars, guys? Like, nope, Cody, we're good, buddy. No, that's okay.
Yeah, and now I'm gonna talk about my parents' divorce. No,
oh boy, yeah,
that actually is like a really funny bit. Is like just go on a giant tangent about like why I'm just teetering on the edge, and then like when it's calmed down, you ask a question like, "So, what do you think is gonna happen with Spencer Martin?" And I'll be like, "Oh, it reminds me of when my parents told me they were getting a divorce at the dinner table."
Just going like a complete, like, oh god, this is
different.
why you don't do the Friday shows. You're just like sad the whole day.
You're just thinking about your life and being miserable, aren't you?
Yeah,
it's exactly what it is. Well, before I bring down this podcast anymore, I've been here for exactly 13 minutes and 3 seconds, and I've probably killed the entire mood. I can hear my dog fidgeting in his cage right now, which is awesome because I would so much rather be napping. But that's going to have to wait till another day.
Ow.
Jamie, welcome to the CreaseCast. I'm really looking forward to your content. I was like I said, I really don't like listening to myself like speak in videos, but you made it actually enjoyable, and that's honestly a greater talent than whatever the fuck Lachlan and I have been doing over the last year and a half. So kudos to you. I will leave you both. The show is in good hands, ladies and gentlemen. I'm really excited to see where the CreaseCast goes from here. As always, you can follow me at Cody Sievertson. I'm going to leave it in these two's hands. Take it away, gents and ladies, and enjoy the show tonight. Bye, guys.
See ya.
Bye, Cody.
Yeah, it is. And now, it works. It's just the two of us, and now it is just the kids. So the rest of the show, the babysitter has left. It is now just us. Cody obviously is still going to be on the show and still going to be regularly doing the show. Who knows? Maybe we might see him back on Fridays eventually. Jamie is just adding to the whole vibe of the show that we've got going here, and we'll get more into like everything that went on with the Canucks over the last little bit here today. We're going to keep today's show not short. We're going to keep it like in a good healthy time, especially because we were already running late before we started as it was. But I wanted to kind of just give you an opportunity, kind of like introduce you a little bit as well, just to like everybody in terms of like how you got here. So for like anybody who doesn't know, Jamie is the lovely individual who made the Always Tired merch for us back in September. And Cody was the one who was the one that reached out to you initially about that and everything. And since then we worked on that, and then eventually I ended up asking you if you wanted to do feature you in a project I was doing for one of my BCIT classes. And that's how I found out that you did video editing for a living, and that was something that you wanted to do. And I was like, you should join our podcast, and you immediately said yes. I was like, thank God.
Yeah.
we've needed an editor for a while. We needed a producer for a while, and we've needed a third voice for a while. So it's awesome to have you. I guess, is there anything you want to just give people an introduction to yourself? Like, what's the best way to introduce you, I guess?
Oh, wow. You're putting me on the spot here.
A little bit. The show's a little bit about you today.
Lovely.
I know. We're really making it difficult.
Yeah. Thanks. I mentioned it before. I'm 20 years old. I am an interactive arts and technology major at SFU, and I like to make videos. Yeah.
Simple as that. And honestly, that's exactly what we've been looking for a while, because obviously, as you guys all know, we've been doing Twitch stuff for a bit. We do the Off the Post Patreon show, which we're supposed to do weekly. Now that Jamie's here, we're gonna maybe do that a little bit more closer to that weekly schedule. Yeah, we do a lot of video content. Obviously, our YouTube channel is my baby. I've put years into that thing, even though not many people watch it, but I enjoy having it. And but now, yeah, Jamie is going to add so much to that, and we're really excited to have her helping with that, as well as giving us a better presence on Twitter and Instagram and TikTok. TikTok's an interesting one. We now outvote Cody 2-1 and might be able to get him to do TikToks for the
Oh my God. If I could get Cody to do as many TikToks as I can, that would be great. It doesn't even have to be the trendy stuff. It could just literally be anything.
Oh yeah. Oh God. Yeah. We're gonna 100% ramp up how many videos we're putting out, how many how much content we're making, and it's all going to be, and with Jamie leading that, it's going to be really, really good. As you saw today, that was awesome. I didn't even know you were putting that together, and then when you sent it, I was like, this is beautiful.
I needed to know where it was in the podcast, because I remember listening to it, and I was like, I don't remember when it was, but I need it. I need that audio.
and that's the kind of thing that because I don't listen to the show myself often, I don't know that those are there, and I don't think about that. And so for you to be immediately I know what I need to make out of this, I know what I can do, that's a skill that I wish I had, and I'm so thrilled that you do, because that's going to be for some good stuff down the line.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, and we're excited to have you. Obviously, again, first podcast for you, so we're gonna ease you in as best we can. Obviously, today's a little bit of a harder day because Cody's only here for a little bit. But I will try and do as much of the heavy lifting as I possibly can. Yeah. So Canucks are coming off of two 5-1 wins in Arizona and Vegas. The Vegas one being the weirder of the two, but also and yet it feels like that makes so much sense that we talked about it before, the Canucks going and winning a game that they probably shouldn't be able to win, just at a time where it's okay, it's okay if you lose a few here, don't you worry at all. And sure enough, they've now put themselves in a position where they have not so great lottery odds. But at the same time, I feel correct me if I'm wrong here, Jamie, I feel that pales in comparison to the fact of the Canucks might end up being able to look at that game and going, we were the ones that kept the Vegas Golden Knights out of the playoffs, which would be amazing.
Yep. Yeah. I would love that.
Would you consider that more what would make the end of the year better for you in this case? Would it be the Canucks getting the best lottery odds, as good of lottery odds as they humanly can this late in the season, or just the fact that they might keep, or if they do end up the Knights do end up missing the playoffs, being able to look back and being hey, we did that was us?
Well, I mean, it depends on how Vegas does the rest of the season, right? But I think it would be really, really great to be that first dagger in end of the Knights playoffs.
Yeah, I mean
this
they're
year.
running. I mean they are running out of space. Like they don't. I think so. Oh yeah, so like if you look at the standings right now, Vegas has 82 points, and they're sitting in like that. Literally, that first team out. Dallas is in front of them with 84, so only a 1-game difference. But the Stars have 2 games in hand, so that throws a huge wrench in there for Vegas, where they are already like close to running out of space. Like there's not a lot of time left for them. They literally only have 10 games left. Same for the Canucks.
Yeah.
Obviously the Canucks are a lot farther back than Vegas.
Yeah.
Like they're a whole other, I believe, 6 points back of Dallas right now. So their odds they're not gone, but they're not great either. You never know what could happen. Crazier things have happened, but at the same time, I'm just looking at the end of the season. Like a couple of the teams are going to be facing. There's San Jose tomorrow. I believe they've got one more. I think they've got at least one more game against the Flames. I believe is down the line as well here. Like they've got a few pretty good opponents coming up that are going to make life miserable for them. The Sharks are not one of them. It's going to be really funny. I think they have a few lighter opponents at the end as well too. Do you like where do you see the Canucks finishing, do you think, down at the end of the run here, like with the last 10?
I think I don't think they're gonna make it.
Well, I don't think let me rephrase. I don't think they're gonna make it either. I think that's
yeah.
I feel comfortable with the fact that the ship has sailed there. But I guess so like I've pulled their final 10 games up. I've got their schedule for the remaining teams. So the remaining teams, they do have 1 game left against each of the current Pacific playoff teams. So Calgary, Edmonton, LA. They've got 3 games, all of which I believe are in the last like week of the season.
Yeah.
Within that timeline, however, they also play Minnesota, who's one of the best teams in the Central Division.
Yeah.
So already about 4 really tough opponents, but then it levels off a little bit because you've got San Jose on Saturday, plus another 2 games against Vegas, another game against both Vegas and Arizona, plus Ottawa, Dallas, and Seattle. So, and most of which are at home. They've only got 3 games left on the road, all of which are against Minnesota, Calgary, and Edmonton. So other than that, they've got mostly home games. Do you think, I guess the question I would ask you here is like, do you envision them going like, if you had to put a record on it, do you see it closer to like 4-6 for them or 6-4? I would say for me, I'm looking at it like I'm thinking that Dallas, I think they might beat Dallas. Like, I honestly think after the last game that they played against Dallas, like there's a little bit more of a human element there that they might be able to win that one. I'm honestly like, they might win like 6-4 or 6 out of 10, which would be, again, not enough for the playoffs, but enough to like definitely keep you out of the top 10 in the lottery. But also like there's, you get a good finish out of the year. Like you could say you finish strong out of the year.
Yeah. Probably, yeah. 6.
Yeah.
Maybe just go 500.
Maybe just go 500. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's pretty much about where they're going to end up. I think you look at like, I think that, most of these games are going to end up like, it's going to be such a big difference maker for them. Like Ottawa and Seattle out of this group are the Coyotes as well, I should say, are like the only teams that are still kind of like 100% know they're out and they're done. San Jose, I guess, too, to a degree, but even they, I think are still technically like fighting a little bit here in the end here to go. But yeah, I think you're looking at a lot of teams that are kind of just like, they're going to phone it in the late stages here. You might be able to get a few weird wins off of them. Like LA, like you don't meet LA again until the second to last like game of the season. I don't think they're going to come in necessarily with their best effort like that night. So you're kind of like, you're looking at a scenario where you might be able to kind of walk out of here with at least like a good run to end your year, which I think in a way is better when you're factoring in for next year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can give like the AHL guys some time
Yeah.
up as well.
Yeah. Which is there an AHL guy that you would want to see most right now? Like besides Jack Rathbone, because I think all of us want to see Jack Rathbone.
Long shot. I don't even remember how to say his name.
Sheldon Rempal, there's Sheldon Dries. There's a few good. Danila Klimovich might be in there, maybe. I mean, Will
Might be too
Lockwood.
young.
Klimovich is too young for sure.
Yeah.
But like Will Lockwood's obviously done really well this like he's done well in the role he's been given with the big club so far this year. Like he's had a little bit of there's definitely been growing pains for him, but he's also very clearly not been a huge liability on the ice for a guy with only 6 NHL games under his belt. He's looked surprisingly like strong. Yeah, I think you're gonna see a few guys. It depends entirely though as well, based on like how Abbotsford does in the playoffs.
True.
Because like I mean, you got like they've already papered Vasily Podkolzin into Abbotsford, so he could go play for them during the playoffs, which would be awesome. And
like tear it up. Just tear it up in there.
he might tear it up. I mean, the Pacific Division's not good in the AHL. Like, it's not a good division. Most of their best young guns are either playing on their teams already, or their teams like say like Calgary's farm system and Edmonton's, where it's like they've already like run it dry. It's already all the best like prospects are gone. I think with the exception of like the Ontario Reign, I think it's pretty slim pickings on the Pacific Division side there. So yeah, like, and I think in a way that's like your best bet. That's your best, like, that's the thing to worry about most almost is how to get some of these guys an opportunity, not only with the big club, but also like keep them fresh for what could be or at least a good distance like spring for them. You know, where they end up playing against some really good teams. So like they play some really important, like high stakes playoff hockey down the line here.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe just like let them do their thing, and if we need them, because like right now we have quite a few people that are like call ups or like usually healthy scratches if everyone is healthy.
Yeah.
So like, yeah.
Yeah, I think I think that's definitely where it's like where you're going to see them factor in. Like right now, right now the Canucks would be playing Bakersfield in the first round of the playoffs with Stockton getting a bye. Wow, the playoffs, the Calder Cup playoffs are a very interesting thing. I'm realizing I hadn't looked at them before. For anyone who hasn't looked at them so far, just to give you an idea, Abbott's so seven teams in the Pacific Division make the playoffs, which is weird. So out of nine teams, 7 make the playoffs. I don't understand this at all. So only Tucson missed the playoffs. What? Okay, I'm sorry. I'm just looking at I'm realizing some of the things that are going on here where I'm just like, how on earth do you miss the postseason when your team is doing as badly as Arizona is? You have no NHL team. Shouldn't you have a bunch of prospects on your Tucson team that are really good? Apparently not. Overall, the first round. So Stockton gets a bye because the Flames, I guess, have the Stockton Heat are top in in the division. After that, it's Ontario. The Colorado Eagles, Bakersfield Condors, Abbotsford, San Diego Gulls, Henderson Silver Knights. The Canucks are currently 5th. They have a chance at home ice, which is really important. Especially because I believe, if I remember correctly, I believe the first round of the AHL playoffs is a 5-game series rather than 7. So it makes it all the more important to get home ice when you have elimination games on tap. At this point, that kind of feels like where most of our attention is, like, for the rest of the year, is can the Abbotsford Canucks get deep into the playoffs if given the opportunity to?
I sure hope so.
I hope so too. I think they've got a shot. I think they've got a decent shot. Like I don't look at any of those groups and say, oh, they're like too like even like well, like because especially if you look at like the overall standings, the Canucks are a little bit behind. Like say they're 17. I think they're 17 points behind the Stockton Heat for first place, but like they're not like I don't think there's anybody necessarily on Stockton right now where it's like, oh, this guy's like a bona fide NHLer and he's tearing it up. I think a lot. In fact, I think the Canucks have a few of the best scoring guys at that level. I like the top scores at the level that like Sheldon Dries. Sheldon Dries is 62 points. He's seventh in the entire AHL.
Let's go.
62 points. Yeah. Ontario is the big one, is the real scary one because they've got TJ Tynan who has 85 points and second in the league, and then Martin Ferk who's tied for fifth with 63. So it's going to be like the Pacific Division is just a wild west. Have you actually been to any of the games in Abbotsford this year?
No, I've only been to the Abbotsford arena for a preseason game.
See, I haven't even been for that. I have not gotten an opportunity, partially just because I don't have a car right now. But for the playoffs, I'm going to make sure I get up there for at least one of those games for sure. As far as so like for the last couple games, we do. I don't know if you know this, Jamie, but we have a tradition on the show. It's called the Infinity Gauntlet. Where we hand out, which is our player of the game award, essentially like our player of the week award. So, I guess I'll go first, give you some time to think about like who you would want to pick for yours. I think for this week, I think it's pretty clear for me that it's got to go to Elias Pettersson. PD has had 2 incredible games in a row, almost single-handedly took down the Knights on Wednesday. And I think you could also give it to like Bo Horvat. Maybe you're gonna give it to Bo Horvat. I don't know. But overall, like you're like for all the people talking about like, oh, Elias Pettersson sucks now, he's bad. It's like he's rubbing it in all their faces just how good he is. And then there's the whole Patrick Alvin commenting on like we don't have a superstar right now, which
I don't know about that.
Which in a way you're like, I don't know about that, but maybe he knew what he was doing because all of a sudden Pettersson's on a scorcher. Yeah, he was incredible in the game against Vegas. He did his thing against Arizona. He didn't have to be amazing against Arizona, but he still was. He still put in the full effort. And again, like it makes, in a way, it almost makes you sad because like you wonder, like, had he not been so cold out of the blocks like at the beginning of the year, like what height he might have reached. Like, might we be looking at a scenario where he's like in the same conversation as like JT Miller, who's nearing a 90-point season? Like, could we be looking at that for PD had he started off like more on his normal pace and the kind of style of play we're looking for? But you're just happy it's here now rather than later. And especially it bodes well going into next year that he's going to be finishing so strong at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What about you? Who would you give it to?
I would give it to PD as well. Like,
PD as well.
Yeah. There's no way that you can't like, I mean, like Bo did a fantastic job against the Coyotes. Like, that was insane. He had 17-0 on faceoffs. I called him a god amongst men.
yeah. I agree. I think you could very easily give it to Horvat as well. Like, I think, and especially like Horvat's another guy who took a lot of heat from people for no good reason.
No good reason. No good reason at all.
And now he's got 30 goals, and he's the first guy to do that since Radim Verbata, which was a little bit hard to hear. I'm gonna be honest. Like, like when I saw that, I kind of went, no, that's not true. What? And then I kind of just sat there for a second. I'm like, wow, this team has been so bad. Like for the last like how many years that they didn't have a guy hit 30 goals until between now and 2018. Like, that's insane that it's taken this long. And for all the talk that Bo Horvat, that like people often put Bo Horvat, I think, in kind of like the tier below Pettersson and Hughes and Besser, and I guess Miller as well to a degree. And like in a way they're right. Like in a way that's not like totally off to be like, oh, he's not as good as Elias Pettersson. Like that's fair.
Yeah.
But he's still so clearly a really good scorer and is a really good offensive mind. And a good captain to boot. Like, I think there's a lot about the way that Bo Horvat plays that I absolutely love, and some of the things that he does that I think fly under the radar, not just at the from the rest of the NHL, but here in Vancouver, plenty of the time too, where he's not. Despite being the captain, he's often like underappreciated for how much he contributes to the offense and how well he does when he's on offensively. And I think Cam Robinson had that tweet this week where he talked about like it wasn't this week, sorry, he retweeted it. It was from I think like October of this year, but it was like Bo Horvat deserves to play in more playoff games. And it's like, yeah, he does, because like that guy is such a big game performer. And like during the playoffs in the bubble, he was so good.
Oh my god. God, he was insane.
It was honestly like a little bit like, where has this been? Like, have you been able to do this the whole time? You're almost like a little mad. You're almost like a little mad because you're like, why don't you try this hard all the time? Like, but no, like Horvat's just that kind of a player where he shows up when you need him most, and he does it like consistently. So yeah, I think Horvat and Pettersson just like ran the table in this in these last couple of games. You've been wanting to talk about Will Lockwood, I think. I
don't know if I want to talk about Will Lockwood. He definitely. So, in the aforementioned preseason game that I went to in Abbotsford, I was just watching the warm-ups. I think because Olli Juolevi was still on the team, right? And I'm regrettably an Olli Juolevi fan. Like I want him to do well. Basically, that's it.
Oh, I got some bad news for you.
Oh yeah. Like when he got traded, I was like, oh no.
I gotta ask you, I know this is side tangent, but considering we had just made the shirts and everything, did any part of you be like start going to yourself, is this my fault? Did I do this?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
My friends were like, oh, Jamie, what did you do? And I was like, I didn't do anything. I blame Cody.
Cody and I were both like, we did this, didn't we? We got him traded, didn't we? Sorry, buddy.
Yeah, well,
like it is.
It is what it is.
Money went to charity. It was a good cause. It is what it is.
We got Lamico, right?
We got Juho Lamico out of it, who has mysteriously gone back to being Juho Lamico since Tyler Mott got traded. But we won't talk about that. So back to Will Lockwood. You saw him during the preseason game.
Yeah, I was just watching the warm-ups, and he looked at me a lot, and he gave me the side eye. And my friends, he looked at me weird, and I was like, why are you looking at me weird? Like, I didn't do anything. I'm just standing here.
Like he just like knows you. He's like trying to figure. He's like, do I know you? Like, I'm like, he's like trying to figure it out. Like,
well, like I'm wearing a mask. Like, what are you?
That's true. Okay, yeah, because I would have thought
like, there's nothing you can recognize me from. I've never seen you before in my life, other than that day. So, like, what's up with that? And then, like, I just proposed to my friends that I'd fight him the next time I saw him.
Well, now that you're part of the show, I'm afraid you can't fight him because we have strict rules about being like nice to the players.
I know.
Ever since Cody fought that one player, we can't anymore. No.
Who did Cody fight?
No, and he's good. He's good. He does get nice comments from the parents sometimes when he talks about their kids in Abbotsford or in Utica beforehand. Sometimes you get that when you write, like you'll just see like, oh hey, it's like like a super nice comment from like once from a mom or something. Danielle Demko is always in my mentions, like always like liking half the stuff, because half the stuff I tweet is about Thatcher Demko. Is about Thatcher and like his goaltending. So it's like that's often how it goes. That's often, so like, yeah, like the parents sometimes get in there, but they're always like, but always in a nice way. Yeah.
I mean,
So
my thing is an empty threat anyways. Like, what would I do?
it's true. You're not Kevin Bieksa, who just like drops Fedor off and with one punch in a bar.
No.
No, you can't. Not everyone has that skill, and honestly, that's fine. Yeah, but Will Lockwood's look good at the NHL level. I honestly I kind of see him sticking with the NHL team into next year, or at least getting being given the benefit of the doubt going into training camp next year.
Yeah, well, he's been being more physical, and sometimes the Canucks aren't as physical as you want them to be. They do get tossed around sometimes, but it hasn't happened as much as before. But I think he that one time he went through the defense. I don't remember which team he went through, but he went through the defense. I was like, wow, look at him go.
Yeah, he's got some quick feet. He plays with I think Daniel Wagner was the one who said he's got very bad self-preservation skills, where he'll just be he's so aggressive on the puck that he'll just he'll be like, sure, I'm gonna lean out with my head at elbow level and try just to get this puck as two guys are coming right at me. He's definitely one of those guys who are like, oh, you're gonna get yourself hurt at some point, right?
He needs to be a little more aware of looking around and probably evaluating what he might do.
Yeah, a little bit for sure. There's definitely times where he puts himself in obviously it's the hitter's job. It's kind of the hitter's job to make sure they're not hitting a guy in a prone situation. But then there's players like Lockwood where it's a little bit they're very often putting themselves in that prone situation, and it's okay, you gotta lift up, keep up a little bit. You got to put your head on a swivel a little bit more. Make sure that you're make sure you're keeping a really close eye on the guy, on how much room you actually have. Because and sometimes that's honestly not even just about not getting hit. It's also just about, knowing where the play is on the ice, because what that kind of shows is tunnel vision a little bit, which is, I think, something that every hockey player goes through. That every hockey player goes through the thing where they get caught puck watching a lot, and they have to kind of relearn a little bit of okay, I can't just be I can't just only have eyes for the puck, because if I'm doing that, there's a good chance that either there's somebody behind me who's either going to hit me or who is waiting wide open for a shot that I have not covered. So it's a little bit of just clearly he's just got a little bit to learn about just okay, not getting too engrossed with the puck and kind of focusing a little bit more on the actual surrounding play. And that's a skill you can develop, obviously. Some people are born with that skill, but it's not one of those ones where it's it's definitely something you can teach and something you can improve on as you go. And sometimes it just takes the leap of playing regular NHL games like Lockwood is to kind of get to that point. Yeah. Let's talk about Spencer Martin. Let's talk a little bit about Spencer Martin, because he's coming in. He's got his new contract.
Hell
today.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, and it's exciting. As a goaltender, I'm excited for Spencer Martin. I know Cody had some questions.
Cody.
Cody is not as big a fan of this signing as I think everyone else is. So, and to be fair, here's the thing. To be fair, I see where he's coming from a little bit. Spencer Martin has only played 3 games at the NHL level this year. He doesn't have a regular resume of success at the NHL level, particularly. He played, I think, a few more games for the Colorado Avalanche while he was a member of their organization for a bit. It didn't go well for him. At that point, he had an 865 through 3 games, lost them all in Colorado, and then didn't play again since then. And that was back in 2017. Now he's playing his first games with the Canucks this year. He played 3 He posted a 958. He posted a 958 at that, which is incredibly high.
Yeah.
And won one of them and lost the other two in overtime. So he never lost a game in regulation. And
Yeah.
and that was on a team that I think had multiple guys out of the lineup with injuries.
Yeah.
And it was a case of like he held the minute. I was at the first one of those three against the
Ooh.
Panthers. And I was
Yeah.
just like, I've definitely told this story on the show before. With a friend of the show, Angelina Mintz, when she came on, because she and I went to that game, and she was laughing at me because I was sitting there just like hands buried in my face like a goalie parent, because I'm watching him play and I'm like, oh my god, please be okay, don't have a bad night. Like I was just so worried about him.
Mhm.
And then he did fine. Like there was definitely a thing where it's like his reaction speed was definitely a bit slow. Like there were definitely multiple rebounds and stuff that I'm watching where I'm like, oh, he needs to get over faster, and he wasn't. But that in itself is just something where it's like it's a little bit of the adjustment period from going to the AHL to the NHL, because the speed gap of playing at those two leagues, like the speed of play specifically, not just the players too, but specifically like the speed of play is really different when you jump from that one league to the next. That some goaltenders actually, and that's why sometimes with goaltenders, like depending on who it is, they might actually do better just when they get to the NHL level because they play better at a faster pace. Whereas with Martin, it was a case of like, it looked a little bit like he was definitely still having to learn and like learn on the fly of like, okay, I have to be a little bit more quick on the puck. I have to be more engaged in the play, even when it's not necessarily a shot isn't immediately coming. How do you feel about Martin signing? Like, how do you feel about him as serving as a long-term backup, or at least like a backup for going into next year, even despite like the short resume of NHL games?
How many is Halak signed for one more year?
No, he is done. He is done at the end of the season. This is
Oh.
they just have to pay the overage bonus.
Oh,
Whoops.
okay.
Thank
Whoopsie.
you, Jim Betting.
Woo.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Martin right now would be projected to be your number 2.
Oh, I don't know about that.
You don't know, yeah. It's a bit iffy for sure.
Yeah. With the small sample size that he has, there's definitely a lot of things he needs to learn about, like, because sometimes he did look like he was flopping around a little bit because he wasn't fast enough to like reaction time sort of thing. It has been a while since I watched those games, so I don't really remember it. I just remember being amazed at how well he was playing because he was thrown into this situation where Demko was like, I think it was on protocol. And then
That's right. Yeah. And Halak. And Halak as
Halak.
well.
Oh yeah, and then Mikey was back up, right?
Mikey was back up. He played one game. I believe he played one game.
Yeah.
DVHR played one game. He wasn't particularly he wasn't bad. I don't think he was particularly bad. He just wasn't great. Whereas Martin had showed up with 2 games where he had posted like a 970.
Yeah.
Like it's
that
like
was
Jesus.
insane. I was like in shock at like how he played those games that he played.
I'm looking at the stats again right now. He stopped 47 of 50 against the Oilers, which is just wild.
Oh my god.
And again, took that game to overtime somehow. And then stopped 33 of 34 against the like league leading Panthers. Like Jesus.
I remember watching the Panthers game and I was like, how I was like completely confused as to how we hung on in that game, other than like Spencer Martin absolutely playing out of his mind because of that. Like it's insane how he played those games, but like I don't know about having him as like the regular backup for Demko because of how small his sample size is. He definitely would have to work a lot with Ian Clark about that sort of stuff.
Yeah, and with and you know they have Curtis Sanford as well with Abbotsford, who's like done a really good job with the goaltenders down there, and has really like left his mark with those guys as well. Like they've got a good system for goaltending. If there's one thing that like, and I've said this a lot on the show, is like Jim Benning, not great at running a team in a lot of ways, The one thing he did decently was he trusted the goaltending with Ian Clark, and he just left it to him. And I think that has shown that like the Canucks have not had. It's been a long time for the Canucks that since they've had to worry about, oh, we don't have goaltending. Like I can't, like honestly, you could arguably go all the way back to when it was Dan Cloutier and Alex Auld in net back in like 2006. Was the last time you were really like, oh my God, they don't have a goaltender. Like they've had it ever since Luongo showed up, who also was coached by Ian Clark. Suddenly that was the Canucks have not had a lot of problems since then. Like they've been really good in that department, and it's worked out well for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I sometimes feel like it's the goalies that are just like holding on to the Canucks.
Boy, is that true? It sure is. As a goaltender myself, absolutely, I agree with that statement 100%.
We actually sometimes, it's like you're watching a game, and then you're like, the only reason why they're in this is because of the goaltending.
Yeah. In fact, we got a goaltending question today. We got a goaltending question from at Riley Miner. He asked, I want every one of you to define post-integration. Cody's not here. I'm sure he'd give a very stupid anti-goalie answer. I have
no idea what that means.
You can give anything you want. You can answer with anything you want.
I know Riley said I could say whatever I want, but I replied with sorry because I didn't want to try and I didn't want to think about it because like I have no idea what that means.
You have no idea what that means?
Post-integration.
Post-integration. It's a goalie term. It is a goalie term. I can't confirm that. All right. Okay, I will do it as best I can. Admittedly, like I'm no goalie coach, so I have never done like I've never like coached. I had like did a little bit of like coaching when I was really like way younger, but I've never had any I've never done any professional goalie coaching. So forgive me if I butcher the definition here, but like basically, and I wish I had more room to like actually do this because it helps when I can do it like with my body itself. Without putting anybody to sleep, post-integration essentially is just it's just how you use your use your body when you're lining up to the post to protect the corners and the holes along the specifically when you're facing shots from your angles. Different goaltenders use different ways to kind of alleviate that and to try to seal up that post area and to not leave a hole there that could expose to get in between your body and the post and go in the net. So a lot of goaltenders, what you'll see them do today is what the goalie coaches are often teaching nowadays is, especially because for bigger guys, is you get into like your butterfly stance, you put your pad up against that let's say the blocker side. So for a righty goaltender, which most goalies are, I'm lefty. But you put your pad up to like that right post, you wrap your blocker arm around the post to kind of give yourself a little bit of room to give that like to kind of wall off that front side. And then because NHL goaltenders are like a little bit taller, you're sealing up you're using your head to kind of seal up the little bit of remaining room between the crossbar and the post. And if you're not careful, sometimes that's the place where it goes in and you feel really stupid after. And then same thing on the other side. For me as a goaltender, I was always a small goalie compared to most NHLers. Compared to most goalies in general, I'm 5'10", or my joke is I'm 5'10" on a good day. I'm actually like 5'9", which would make me the shortest goalie in the NHL by a whole inch. I think actually 2 technically. I think Jonas Enroth was, or no. Alex Stalock was 5'10", I think, which I guess technically means he's 5'8", or 6. I forget exactly what it was. They always add 2 inches for skates. Anyways, so for me, I always in the post, instead of doing the getting into my butterfly and roll and trying to seal off the post, I actually stood up because I was quicker on my feet. So I used it. So I ended up just kind of putting my arm around the post, sealing off the wall. And then on my glove hand, I would kind of drop with one pad to the ice, have one still up holding that wall with my stick in front to kind of block, say, them trying to just put it in under my skate. And then I'd have my glove here and then I'd have my glove kind of resting on top of my pad. And then if there was a quick shot, I'd just come up and try and snag it with my right hand. Blocker side, a little bit different, but most of the time I would stand up, seal the wall off that way. And then if I see a shot potentially coming, I drop into the butterfly, try and hold off with my stick to try and keep them out. So often I didn't. So yeah, like, and they don't teach goaltenders to do that as much anymore. Jonathan Quick really popularized getting low into the butterfly and shuffling back and forth between them that way because he's a big guy who can do that. And it worked well for him. But yeah, that's post integration. It's actually very interesting, and it's really cool watching goalies put it in action. Every goaltender does it a little bit differently. Like there are ways that there are two very like specific styles that they go for generally, but like every goaltender has their different quirks in the way that they kind of wall it off, and some work better than others. So yeah, that's post integration. This has been Lachlan's goalie corner for today.
I hope that satisfies Riley.
Did you learn anything about goaltending, Jamie?
Yeah.
Who is your first favorite goalie? That's an important question on the show.
Oh, it's probably Luongo.
Correct answer. If you had said Corey Schneider, we would have fired you. No.
Oh.
No, I'm just kidding.
Good luck.
I'm just kidding. Corey Schneider, who won his first game recently. Good for him. I'm actually
yeah.
It was that was actually good to see. I was really happy for Corey Schneider.
I really hoped that he got a shutout, but he didn't.
He got close. He got real close.
It was really close. I
think
is he gonna do it? No.
Yeah, he got really, really close. And like he played the full game, and against the Devils too, to make it just all the sweeter.
Yeah.
Those guys who just kicked him to the curb. Like, yeah, oh hell yeah. Revenge game. You love to see it. All right. Otherwise, NHL news. Let's move. We'll get some NHL news, and then we'll call this an episode for today for our very first one. Auston Matthews is at 56 goals, which I believe is I think that's the Leafs record, unless I'm mistaken. I think that's the Leafs.
Yes.
Yeah, that is the record for a Leafs goal scorer. I mean, it's not the Canucks record, but whatever. We had Pavel Bure. So maybe next year. No, he actually probably will pass 60 goals, which
100%.
It would be very surprising if he didn't. They've got 12 games left to get 4 goals. They're gonna feed him the puck, for sure, over the next couple.
He doesn't even have to. He'll just do it anyway.
He will just do it anyway. He's that good. Is he the Hart Trophy candidate at this point? Is it his to lose?
Hart Trophy. I guess that depends on what team you really watch. Right.
A little bit, but I think for league MVP, I think I mean obviously Connor McDavid has more points. Obviously, Jonathan Huberdeau has a good case there. I mean, okay, here's the thing. Connor McDavid, I don't think should win because he has Leon Draisaitl, and it's okay. Look, and the thing that nothing drives me more bananas, and I've said this on the show so many times, of that year where multiple people gave Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl both votes for the Hart Trophy in the same ballot. And I just looked at them that's not how most valuable player works. If they're both valuable, neither is the most valuable. You can't do that. That's not how that works. I think Johnny Gaudreau is a good shot. I mean, Mitch Marner's obviously in that convo as well. But at the same time, Matthews has almost double the goals that Mitch Marner does.
Well, how many assists does Mitch Marner have?
Mitch Marner has a lot of assists. And
exactly.
That's important. And that is important. But I think in the grand scheme of things, goals are more important. So I think when you've got such a humongous lead on the goals total, it's not just Marner has 40 or has say 45 and Matthews has 55 kind of thing, right? We're talking literally Mitch Marner is 31. So one more goal than Bo Horvat does.
Man, I wish we had more than one.
Yeah, exactly. One more goal than Bo Horvat does. And then Auston Matthews has 56. So he's literally 5 off from doubling Marner in goals. And I'm and even in points, they're not that close. Matthews has 97, Marner has 89. So there's still there's a gap. There's a real gap there. Honestly, I think I think Matthews has a good case. I think maybe more likely though, I think it's probably going to go to Gaudreau.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
You
Gaudreau has a bunch of players that are great with him, but I feel he's above even
a little
higher.
bit. And I say that as somebody who's often used Johnny Gaudreau as an example of an overrated player. I think he's done much better this year than I was anticipating, and good for him. He showed me. I mean, I still think that this is more of like a flash in the pan year for him than the norm for him.
Mm-hmm.
But like, he's rolling and he's about to hit 100 points. Like, good for him. He's gonna do. I think it's pretty clear without Gaudreau. Like, they'd still be a very good hockey. Calgary'd still be a pretty good hockey team, but like, it'd be clear that they wouldn't be leading. They probably wouldn't be leading their division, or at the very least, it would be like a lot closer between them and like an LA or an Edmonton.
Yeah. They
Markstrom maybe
Johnny.
too. Markstrom also could get it.
Yeah,
Marky's done very well, and I am very happy for Markstrom that he's done well.
Yeah.
Markstrom is the only I shouldn't say the only Calgary Flame I want to see succeed, because that's not true. I like Toffoli, I like Tanev. I like Tanev.
Right?
I like Josh Levo. Like, I want to
Levo's not with them.
Oh, that's right. Levo's gone now, huh?
He's
Levo
with the Canes.
That's right. That's right. He is with the Canes now. Yeah, it's like, I think, like, I want Markstrom. I want Markstrom all the best for him. And I was so worried when the Flames signed him, because I was like, they burn their goaltenders out every single time they get one, and I was so sure they were going to do it to him, and they did it last year. They did it to him last year.
They definitely did last year.
This year, he is playing great hockey. He stayed healthy. They got him a capable backup in Dan Vladar. They've done well. I think he could be in that conversation as well. Same thing with Shesterkin and Demko as well, obviously.
Oh, yeah. Shesterkin.
Yeah. Demko, however, is not getting enough love for the Vezina or the Hart Trophy, frankly. Again, Canucks are gonna, if the Canucks made the playoffs, Thatcher Demko should run away with the Hart Trophy.
Oh,
as I've said
100%.
As I've said multiple times on this show, he is not the lack of Hart consideration for Demko has been stunning. Playoff talk. The Avs clinched. We kind of talked about that on the last show. They hadn't, I think, fully officially clinched by that point, but now they have.
Yay!
And now the Hurricanes are here. So you like the Avs and the Canes?
Yes, I do.
I also liked the Canes up until they signed a certain defenseman.
Oh yeah.
Then they were dead to me forever.
Yeah. Like, I don't really know how to feel about them anymore, because I do like basically all of their players except for like two. So like, it's kind of difficult for me to like move on from them, because I like most of them, but like I just call them a meatball and like don't really cheer for them on anything. It is what it is. I think they follow you on Twitter now too. They follow you on Twitter too, don't they? Yeah, they do. That's incredible. That's incredible. I don't think any NHL team follows me on Twitter, so that's a pretty good. That's a good. Yeah. That's already a feather in your cap. I'm a little bit hesitant about it now. That's fine. It is what it is. It's fine. It's fine. It's not, the social media team doesn't choose who gets signed. Of course not. No, they don't. Yeah. Yeah, I think looking at the playoff picture right now, obviously Florida's in, obviously Carolina, Colorado, Calgary is probably going to clinch in the next day or two. Who, like, is there a favorite out of the group, or is it like this, or is this year to you looking like a case where it's like there are like multiple teams that you could see being like a really good contender? There are definitely like multiple teams that look like they could like really do a lot of damage too. Yeah. Is there a favorite in your mind though, like in terms of like what you think's got the leg up? I would say probably the Avs, just because of like how well they play. Although they did like give up a 4-2 lead, but that's fine. They won in overtime. It's fine. They won an OT. So for me, it's the team behind me. It's the Panthers. Of course, yeah. You and I have talked about this already multiple times. How I like we got the Florida Colorado rematch like booked and ready to go. We want that so badly. Yeah. I think Florida has the edge, especially because I think they have the goaltending, whereas like with Colorado has Darcy Kemper,
but I always worry about his longevity and his like health, because he is a guy that usually gets hurt at least once a year for an extended period of time. So I'm like a little bit like, oh, if you get into the grind of the playoffs, I am worried with Kemper that he might get hurt and then you might be stuck. Because if he goes down, like Francouz will do okay, but like that's clearly like a huge loss for you if you don't have him there.
Oh yeah.
So
definitely.
you kind of need the stability in goal to make it through the playoffs. That would be my one worry, I think, with Colorado. But overall, like, I mean, God, like they have Nazem Kadri like at like 100, nearly 100 points. Like, good Lord.
Yeah, he's hurt right now, though.
He's hurt though. Like, oh God, which sucks for him because like he's had such a good year. I want Nazem Kadri to do well. I like Nazem Kadri.
Yeah, I'm quite worried about like because next season for them.
Well, his contract's up. Yeah, he's gonna make a lot of money next year.
Their entire second line is up this year.
Oh yeah, this is it for Colorado. Basically, this is the year to go. They have to go for it.
I mean,
it's
like
all in, and yet
same thing with the Panthers a little bit though.
Oh yeah, a little bit. I think with the Panthers though, you know what the difference is though with the Panthers, and we've talked, and I think I talked to Cody about this once on the show, is that they're a team that almost like for them to consider this year a success, they don't even need to win the cup. They just need to win a round because they haven't won a round since 1996. Yeah. So like they're like anything after that is just extra. Whereas Colorado, it's like, okay, you have to win the cup. Like you gotta win the cup, or
at
it's
least
cup
like
or bust.
Pass the second round. Like, gosh.
Oh yeah, because they haven't even done that yet. They haven't even done that with this group. God,
they haven't.
Oh, they're shaping up to be the 2011 Canucks, huh? They're gonna be 2 years out in the second round. Finally, make it to the final, losing Game 7.
I don't think they're gonna lose as bad as the Canucks did in the finals.
No. A man can dream, though. I can dream.
I think they'll score more goals.
That's true. Boy, is that true.
How many goals did we score that year?
Oh, that's a great question. So the Canucks scored, and this is the thing that always pisses me off when people talk about people love to go and look at 2011 and be like, oh, it's Luongo's fault they lost. And to them I say, it's weird that you're blaming the goaltender who had 2 shutouts in a 7-game series rather than the team in front of him that scored an NHL record low 8 goals in 7 games. Like, you know whose fault it is? It's not the guy who's not able to put the puck in the net. That's for sure. It's not his fault they lost. No, he was the only thing holding the minute. They would have been swept in 4 if it wasn't for Luongo. Yeah. So Luongo. You're welcome. So yeah, like
poor Luongo.
Nothing drive. I'm not going to spend any more time on this because it gets me so mad every time I talk about it. Nothing drives me more bananas than hearing people blame Roberto Luongo for 2011, even though it is entirely not his fault. He had one bad game.
The 8-1.
The 8-1 game. That was the only bad one. The rest of them, he was fine. The rest of him, he was absolutely fine. The rest of his team shit the bed. It's not his fault.
Yeah.
All right. Before I really get steamed here, Doug Wilson stepping down as, I think this is the last little story. Doug Wilson stepped down as GM of the Sharks to look after his health. Obviously for me, that's an interesting connection, obviously, because I lived in the Bay Area for 10 years. I covered the Barracuda for one season. Doug Wilson was always a very interesting general manager in my mind, especially from an outsider's perspective. I was never a Sharks fan per se. I never obviously the Sharks are division rivals, so there was always I didn't want them to do super well. I was fine with it. I didn't hate them, but I was like, you can't win a cup before we do. That's not allowed. But from an outside perspective, Doug Wilson was always a very interesting GM where he was very good in the early, in the mid 2000s to early 2010s of putting together a really stacked Sharks roster and for a long-term Sharks roster. That team made the playoffs consistently and was one of the best teams to make the playoffs consistently year after year. Maybe they didn't win very often, or they they would often choke in the playoffs on a level that not even the Canucks have been able to accomplish. But like, because the Canucks have done a lot of bad things in the playoffs, they have never been swept they have never been reverse swept. They've never done that before. Thank God. But yeah, like the Sharks were always consistently very good. And for a while, like honestly, my one knock against Doug Wilson for years was always that I always felt he was almost like a little bit too loyal to the players that he had, which I know is crazy to suggest because it's like, oh my God, how like the world needs more loyalty, really. So it's like weird for me to be like to like make that suggestion at all. But there were definitely times where I'm like, you probably should have traded this guy a while ago, but you didn't because you wanted to give him one last shot at the cup, but now you lost him for nothing. And it was like one of those things. And then the Sharks kind of fell into this spot where they were clearly not good enough to contend anymore, but they had not gotten any key assets back for any of like their older veterans. Like Joe Pavelski left in free agency. I think Patrick Marleau left in free agency. Joe Thornton left in free agency. Like they didn't get any returns on those guys when they could have very often. The only time they did, I think, was like when Patrick Marleau was already like in his 40s. They had brought him back for like that 1 year and then traded him to Pittsburgh for like 20 minutes. He was a Penguin for like literally, I think like 10 minutes, and that was it. Like he never played another game for them again. But yeah, like I don't know how you feel about Doug Wilson, but like yeah, like he was a good GM. I think at his height, he was a very good GM with flaws, but flaws that still made him a very good general manager overall.
I don't really have much to say about Doug Wilson, mostly because I'm not familiar with a lot of the Sharks stuff or anything. I know that there's a lot of contracts that are big. That's about it.
Yeah, that was the other part of the loyalty thing for Doug Wilson, is he often gave out. He also was prone to giving out a bit too much cap in term for guys like Marc-Edouard Vlasic, and Martin Jones, obviously, who had to get bought out. I feel bad for Martin Jones, though. I really wanted it. Here's the thing. Martin Jones was really good the first year in San Jose. Like, he got them to that cup final. I was really happy to see him do well because he's from North Vancouver. Like, he's another goaltender. Like, I have a Martin Jones Sharks jersey, like, for a reason,
Cute.
right?
Yeah.
Yep. So when he struggled, I was looking at him and just watching him like kind of like fall apart, and I'm just like, good Lord, they completely shot him in the foot. They didn't give him good goalie coaching. They didn't help develop him properly. They didn't keep him structured. Like, God, they wrecked him. And he's done, I think he bounced back slightly in Philly. Like, his numbers have taken a little bit of a bump back up, but that was just because he had done so poorly in years past that like, it was kind of like, well, there's nowhere left to go but up for you. So I don't know. Yeah, Doug Wilson. It sucks that he's going under these kinds of this kind of a situation, but in a way, it's also kind of nice for him where it's like you're going out in your own terms rather than having like being shown the door per se.
Yeah.
Yeah. He does leave a bit of a mess, though. He does leave a long mess, particularly Erik Karlsson's contract is going to be interesting for the next GM to navigate. I have an Erik Karlsson stealth mode jersey bobblehead as well from when I was living in San Jose, back when it looked like that was going to be a really good deal for them, and it didn't work. It didn't work, and now they've got him on their books for oh my God. After this, they've got, as I try and eyeball this, 5 more years after this at $11.5 million per. Oh, San Jose, you're in a lot of trouble.
How did the owner let him do that?
That's a great question. And an even greater question in my mind, frankly, is how did Jim Benning, when he was trying to make that deal, when he was like when he dealt the 9th overall pick last year, would it have not made more fiscal sense to be like, hey, keep Erik Karlsson 50% retained, plus give us Timo Meier and we'll take him off your hands? Would that have not made more sense for them than OEL and Connor Garland? I think Erik Karlsson's better than OEL. Although again, OEL's done fine this year. Like he's done fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just not as like points totals or
Point totals haven't been
far.
good, no, but like obviously the cap hit doesn't match what he's bringing to the table. But like again, but he hasn't been like NHL quality bad. He's just been okay.
Yeah.
Like yeah. And that's the sucky part. Like we talked about this. I won't stay on this at all for too long. But like on the last show, it's like very much like a case of like, God, if OEL was making $3 million or like $2 million, you'd love him. He'd be great. Like you'd be like, nope, can't hate that. He's doing fantastic for what it is. It's literally just because he's getting paid $7.5 million that you're like, this sucks. Well, I feel like this is a good place to call it a show for JB's very first show. How are you feeling after your first show?
I'm okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're easing you in. We'll ease you in.
I think I need to get better, but we'll see next week.
It takes time. It takes time. Cody will be back on the Monday show, so you'll be able to kind of just jump in when you want to a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, guys, thank you guys so much for listening to this show. I'm Lachlan Irvin. You can follow me on Twitter at Lach and the Crease, and you can find my writing work at CanucksArmy.com. I write there pretty frequently. Jamie, where on social media can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at _ Jamie K Low, JAMIE the letter KLO. That's my Twitter.
Nice. All right. And you'll obviously also be able to find her on the CreaseCast Twitter, on our Instagram, over on our YouTube channel. Make sure you hit subscribe. Make sure you hit like on this video as well. Smash that like button.
Smash it.
Now we have to get really into the YouTuber endings now. There are 2 videos here for you to watch. Let's see.
Which one will you choose?
Which one will you choose? Ooh. Yeah. And make sure to check out our Patreon. We have $1 and $5 tiers. We're going to be doing off the post more now with Jamie. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Obviously, give us reviews. Give us those 5-star reviews on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Help us get the show out to more people. And yeah, I think that's everything. I think that's it for this show, guys. Thank you so much for listening. We'll be back on Monday.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye.